Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. Well, we got screwed by the government again, by the SCOTUS. So the ATF has asked that they stayed the, not pistol brace rule, the receiver rule, because they want to take that case in the Supreme Court. So that means that what we won in the Fifth Circuit Court is now in question until they get the chance to hear the case. That's the only update I have for you. The other stuff I was going to talk about, or the other thing I want to talk about, is just customizations. So I've been, trolling the gun forums in lots of places, and I find myself being a FUD in some ways, and I have to kick myself in the butt for doing it. I have a friend who likes lever guns, but he likes the modern iterations with M-lock slots and all that other stuff, and that's the one gun that I just can't see doing the modern stuff too. But I found myself on the forum defending a Kalashnikov that had an M4 stock adapter on it, and it goes back to what one of my favorite podcasters, Robski from AKOU, had said a long time ago: make the rifle fit the shooter, not the shooter fit the rifle. And that's kind of what is so fun about the AR-15, is that the modularity, I don't know why I'm slurring, I haven't had anything to drink. The modularity of the platform allows you to do so much with it. If you want to add lights or lasers or forward grips, or you want to change the stock, or you want to change different optics, or you want to run different sets of optics, you could do that. Trigger packs, so you can get custom triggers for them. Then you start looking at the AK, and the AK has been westernized. Modern iterations of furniture for the AK allow you to have some of the modularity that the AR-15 platforms have, with one exception, and that is that they're going to be heavier. The AKs themselves are always going to be heavier because of the way the gun is made. And you're not going to get the outright modularity that the AR-15 has. And I think that's part of the reason why everyone likes the AR-15 is, well, Western shooters anyway, is that it allows you to customize the gun so much so that it's 100% yours. But the collector in me is, I guess, what makes me want to go back to the lever guns, where I look at the lever guns and I go, they should be in the wood furniture. And I understand the Kalashnikov purists that want to have pure wood or wooden furniture. The rifle is fine. The rifle can just do as it does, and you can use it mostly as is, and it's fine. But there's a lot of comfort that comes with customization. There's one thing the AR-15 has when it comes to the customization, and I've said that. But the stock, for instance, length of pull is kind of cool. If you've ever worn body armor, or you've ever changed weight, like meaning you've lost weight, you can adjust the rifle to your body at any time. And that lends a lot of credence towards the modularity and modern way of shooting. You can change safeties on the AR and make them ambidextrous. You can change the controls on the AR to make them ambidextrous. And you can do that to some degree with the Kalashnikov. But the Kalashnikov has some limitations. But I caught myself, again, seeing this, and I'm going, the rifle's fine. This woman carrying it, because they were showing this meme off of this lady carrying a, looked like a Romanian AK with an M4 stock adapter, so that she could adjust the length of the gun. And then I thought about what I do to my Kalashnikovs. Now, I have one, my SLR 106, which is super highly customized. It has an M4 stock adapter. It has modern furniture on it that allow me to put lights, lasers, if I wanted to do that, and foregrips. And it even has an extended safety so that I could turn it off or put the safety off or on with one hand without having to, break my firing grip. I've learned, having trained with some AK guys, how to do that without actually breaking my firing grip with the original safety. But it made me think about being hypocritical. And, that's what's cool about the 2A, is you can build the gun exactly how you want it. It may not be your friend's cup of tea, but it's exactly how you want it. And I have to keep remembering that to myself, because I've been critical about some things that my friends have done. But in reality, it doesn't really, and it hasn't really bothered me. It's just those aren't my tastes. If they do that, that's fine. That's cool. I mean, that's the cool thing about being in the 2As. You can do whatever you want with your guns. There's such a thing as just making a gun because it's cool, or getting a gun just because it's cool, because that's what this is about, freedom. You know, the ability to change the gun to the situation you want it to use, or the gun so that you can use it in different situations that you see fit, whether it's hunting, whether it's a truck gun, whether it's for tactical purposes or training or sport shooting or whatever. You know, I'm not a big fan of changing a black rifle to any other color. I don't know why. Living in the Southwest, it makes sense to have a lot of guns, especially in tan, because black attracts heat. And right now we're in the heat cauldron that is the summer in the Southwest. So if you have a black gun, you take it outside and you're shooting it during the middle part of the day or even in the evening, it can get really hot really quick. So it makes a lot of sense to do something like desert tan or FDE so that it doesn't soak up all that heat. Now, why is it that I want to keep them black? I have no idea. You know, I look at some of these Cerakoted guns and these custom skin guns, and I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. I would never own one, but that's cool. Now, why? I keep thinking back to myself, why is that? And I think it's because of my dad. You know, as a collector, I look at these guns and I want to keep them kind of in their original state as much as I can. And I'm a big fan of the statement KISS, keep it simple, stupid, for when you're using a gun for purpose-built reasons, you know. I have a go-to rifle. I have a couple of them. I'd actually say I have 3. I have an AR-15 that is, you know, I built it to look like John Wick's gun, except for it doesn't have, mine has M-lock instead of the other option for a foregrip. And also, I couldn't afford some of the higher-end pieces that gun has from Terran Tactical. So I had to make some compromises price-wise. You know, like my receivers aren't Aero Precision or anything high-end. Mine are Palmetto State Armory. But the inner parts of the gun, you know, I don't have iron ion bonded bolt carrier groups. Those are kind of, I think, the brass colored ones, where mine is actually a nickel bonded bolt carrier group. I got one because I liked it because of the how lubricated it stays. I can't say the word right now without sounding like a complete idiot. But I wanted to keep it so that it would stay lubricated and be ready to go anytime I needed it to. The other thing I did is I stole ideas from what would Stoner do. You know, I took in my AR-15, my Wick build, I put a piston-driven recoil buffer in it. And the idea there is so that I've had an AR-15, I've had 2 of them now, where the detent that holds the buffer spring into the buffer tube have broken, and they've went inside the actual lower receiver and caused other issues. The gun wouldn't work. And any way I could get rid of that little part made sense to me, so that's why I got rid of that. The other thing is I like the bad lever. One of the things I hate about the AR-15, and I've always hated about it, is the little ping pong paddle. And why I do is because it's so small. Trying to pull the charging handle back and lock the bolt carrier group back, and then having to use that little ping pong paddle always bothered me. I don't know why. Being a Kalashnikov guy, that isn't even an option with the Kalashnikov world. But it being a Western rifle, I put a bad lever on it so I could actually lock the bolt carrier group back a lot easier with one hand. One hand on my normal firing grip, I can charge my weapon and lock the bolt carrier group back with the bad lever. It also aids in dropping it down. Now, I'm not one of those guys that uses it to drop the bolt carrier. So if I change my mag, I don't use the lever on the outside of the trigger group or by the trigger. I actually still tap it on the side like I would with the ping pong paddle. And that's so that I don't have any negligent discharges. The only time I ever use the bad lever as intended is when I'm dropping the magazine and I'm trying to keep the gun pull the bolt carrier group back and show that it's clear. So I hit that then so that I can do it all in one smooth motion. And I've trained myself for that. So when I look at the Kalashnikov, I have... None of my Kalashnikovs are, well, that's not true. My Bulgarian one that I just built myself, it is original guys, and that's what it was designed to be, what I meant it to be. I mean, I wanted it to look exactly like a Russian AK-74 or a Bulgarian AK-74, so it has original furniture, mostly. One of the things I can criticize about the Kalashnikov is that they have these short little butt stocks, and if you're a Western modern man, they're too short, and you end up putting your nose on the receiver, the back of the receiver, the dust cover, and that's always bothered me. So on that one, it has a longer one, a NATO length style one, which is basically like the M16 A4 length of pull, or like the What Would Stoner do. So there are influences even in one that I've kept as original as I could. And I see these little ideas where people are rattle canning their guns, so spray painting their guns, and I think about it and like, why would you do that? And then I catch myself and go, well, they're changing it towards their surrounding, they're camouflaging it. I have one gun that I've done that to, a PTR no less, so it's an expensive gun. But I was thinking about this, what right do I have to be any kind of judgmental person towards these people when they're changing their gun to suit their needs? If they want it, that pink Realtree camo, it actually has a function that isn't well known, but it's for infrared. You can actually hide an infrared with that camouflage. That's why I always thought it was kind of hilarious that people are doing it. But women and more effeminate people like that color and like that paint scheme or that color scheme to put on their guns. And what does it harm if they do that? I like the black because in the night, when I see myself ever having to use these, I always picture it in the night. I don't know why, but they're going to be harder to find, not easier, harder to find at night because they're not going to have any glare. They're just solid black. Now my PTR 9, I have two PTR 91s. One of them is in its original G3 guise. It just has the rail that the PTR guys put on it, and it's welded on, which makes it great for adding optics because the original G3 you had to use a stupid claw mount thing that kind of sucks. And it's kind of in green furniture, and I have no want to change it. I'm happy with what it does. The only thing it has that's any kind of different than what it would have went out in the German Bundeswehr is I have optics on it because, well, I'm getting older and optics are kind of nice to be able to see my targets. But I just need to rein myself in, and I'm wondering if my friends and my family and, all my listeners, if the guys that are into the New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union, if you guys have that same little buy-in, I mean, are there certain guns that you just have to keep original, you should just leave alone? Like the M1 Grand to me doesn't make sense to try to change it up because it's historical. It should look the way it should. Same with the K98. However, I have K98s that are sporterized and made into hunting rifles. So it's all in a perception of your taste. And my taste is kind of always leaning towards that collector boomer FUD that my dad raised. But I'm thinking more and more that some of these things are kind of cool. That lever action with the M-LOK, I guess it serves a point if you lived in like California where you can't have a semi-automatic. A lever action 357 Magnum would make a marvelous home defense gun in that, guys, where you could put a light on it or a laser if you needed to use it for self-defense in your home. And it makes a lot of sense, especially for legal reasons, you can't have something like I can have in a freer state. I say a freer state even though I'm behind the blue wall. But as I'm checking out this stuff, I'm finding myself being less judgmental. And today was the prime example where I saw someone that has done something I've done to one of my Kalashnikovs. And I was like, you know what? This actually makes a lot of sense, especially for a female. To be able to adjust the gun to the shooter so it fits their body so that they're comfortable shooting it makes a damn lot of sense, especially for smaller frame people. The Kalashnikov is already front heavy. So to be able to adjust your center of balance and the center of balance of the gun accordingly by making the gun fit the shooter, that's what we've been doing in Western society since, for years now. With the M16 and the M4 and the AR-15 specifically, that's why people like the AR, is that it is so modular. You can make it do anything you want. You want to hunt with it, and you can't hunt the game size animal you're hunting with a 5.56, poof, 2 pins, pop on a new one, and now you can hunt up to elk. You don't believe me? Check out 458 SOCOM or 50 AE or 50 Beowulf. That would be a good gun for hunting elk in very dense brush. But switch up, go to an AR-10. AR-10 308, that's perfect hunting elk. I've killed a lot of animals in North America with a 308, and I have zero problems or ideas that say you shouldn't do that. I call my methodology, in addition to KISS, for firearms, is Adventures in Reality. I have night vision myself, but it was bought more of a tool so I could see things late at night. There was a point in time I could see myself trying to be an operator, and then the Adventures in Reality kick in. And that's not really how you'd use it. If something bumps in the night, you want to be able to see your target, so that's why you put put a light on it. You're not going to keep night vision right next to your gun by your bedside. If you do, more power to you. You're free to do that. But like I said, I need to be less judgmental of what people are doing with their gun, because really it doesn't affect me. But also, that's part of the fun of the 2A. I still think we're winning in a lot of battles. I still think we're going to win big in the SCOTUS for the frame and receiver rule. And I say that because the law is kind of on our side. Now, whether the law actually does what it's supposed to do, that I'm more so concerned with. But seeing more and more posts and more forums come up where people are talking about customizing their guns or talking about firearms in general gives me great hope that the future of the 2A is in good hands. Like, share, subscribe, be great.